the UN inspectors' report on Syria, they found that on August 21st, chemical weapons were used in the Ghouta area of Damascus, and they were used against civilians, including children, on a relatively large scale. The inspectors said environmental, chemical and medical samples proved that surface-to-surface rockets containing the nerve agent sarin were used. The attack was made worse by cold temperatures that kept the sarin low to the ground. The report did not assign blame for the attack or indicate the exact number of people killed.
Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon says the report makes for chilling reading.
Chemical weapons were used on a relatively large scale. This was a grave crime, and those responsible must be brought to justice as soon as possible.
What's the reaction of the Security Council? As ever, it is divided. Some ambassadors claiming the detail in the report is a clear indication of who carried out the attack.
We have associated one type of munition cited in the UN report, 122 millimeter rockets, with previous regime attacks. We have reviewed thousands of open source videos related to the current conflict in Syria and have not observed the opposition manufacturing or using this style of rocket.
I think statements to the effect that the opposition could not have done certain things, I think they are not really as scientific and as grounded on reality as the actual situation could be.
In the coming days, attention around the Security Council table will turn to drafting and then voting on a resolution to set up a mission to go into Syria with the aim of dismantling Assad's chemical arsenal.
Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, when he made his agreement with John Kerry, the US Secretary of State, at the weekend, did leave open some loose ends. And of course, those loose ends are now going to have to be tied up. In particular, this discussion about exactly what form any resolution in the United Nations Security Council should take. In the agreement at the weekend between the Americans and the Russians, it's open to interpretation whether or not the first resolution should have what's called these Chapter 7 section involved in it. In other words, whether there should be consequences that follow if the resolution is not kept to. Sergei Lavrov's interpretation of that is that no, the first resolution would not have a Chapter 7 section. It would only be if the Syrians don't comply that Chapter 7 comes into play.
Britain, France and the United States have agreed to seek a tough UN resolution against Syria over its use and stockpile of chemical weapons. For now, it seems the prospect of imminent US military strikes is over. But the permanent members of the UN Security Council also made it clear that Syria must face consequences if it fails to comply with any binding deadlines. What's important now is that this agreement is put in place rapidly to eliminate once and forever the chemical threat that the Syrian regime puts on its own population and its neighbors, said France's foreign minister.
We will not tolerate avoidance or anything less than full compliance by the Assad regime to the core principles of what has been achieved here. If Assad fails to comply with the terms of this framework, make no mistake, we are all agreed, and that includes Russia, that there will be consequences.
Further details of the agreement will be made clear after the UN's weapons inspectors present their report on Syria's chemical arsenal at the UN's General Assembly in New York tonight.